Hello, my dear students and dear viewers. Once again, this is Mr. Victor with Learning with Stacks with Tutors. In this video, we'll proceed on with coding. So I'll show you the machine, the T1 machine and coding and how it works. But if you've been following my videos, in the previous video, I did share about the T1 machine and coding. And it was so clear. Now, for those who would like to get more insight on the 2-1 machine and coding, you can just review the video all over again. Now, all the instructions are very clear. Now, today, I want to show you, or in this session, I need to show you on how you do coding on the 3-1 machine. So this is the 3-1 machine. This is the 3-1 machine. And let's see. Now, in the 3-1 machine, what it means is now for every 3 dots, you get an explosion of 1 dot to the left-hand side. Now, on the 2-1 machine, for every set of 2 dots that were created, that created an explosion of 1 dot to the left-hand side. Now, let's see what happens. So I'll draw my table. And we start right away. It's quite simple, actually. So this is 3-1 machine. Okay. Now let's see, what would be the coding for 1 on the 3-1 machine? What would be the coding for 1 on the 3-1 machine? Now the coding for 1, nothing really happens because now, like we said, we need to make a set of 3 dots to create an explosion of 1 dot to the left-hand side. So basically the coding for 1 is just 1. So I'll just put 1 there. Now the coding for 2 on the 3-1 machine, again, nothing really happens. So I just do that. So the coding for 2 is simply 2. Okay. Now let's see, something interesting is about to happen because now the said number of dots, which are 3, now will create an explosion with 3 dots. Now, if I add a third dot, what will be the coding for 3? So I add an extra dot, and there you go, an explosion. Boom. We get an explosion, and you get 1 dot on that side. So then this tells us then, of course, now this is all gone. This is gone. This is gone because now all those 3 dots exploded into 1 in the tens place value. So then the coding for 3 becomes 1 and 0. So the coding for 3 is 1 and 0. Hope that's clear. Now let's go on to a 4th dot. So if I add in a 4th dot, what happens? So I add in a 4th dot. Nothing really happens because, like we said, we need to create a set of 3 dots to create an explosion. So nothing really happens. So it's basically then 1 and 1. So the coding for 4 becomes 1 and 1. Basically, it's 11. All right. Now, let's proceed on. What happens if I add in a 5th dot? What happens if a 5th dot comes in? Now, this is what is going to happen. Now, if a 5th dot comes in, then I'm going to get a 5th dot. And nothing really happens because, again, like we said, we need 3 dots to create an explosion. So then the coding for 5 becomes 1 in the tens place value and 2. So it's basically 12. That's the coding for 5. Now, what happens then if I add in a 6th dot? What happens if I add in a 6th dot? So I'll just clear that and then clear that. Now, 6th dot is going to create something interesting. So if I add in a 6th dot, now I have the required set of 3 dots to trigger an explosion. So I get an explosion Kaboom. And that creates 1 dot right there. All right. So basically nothing remains here because all the dots exploded into 1 on that side. Okay. So nothing remains there. So the coding for 6 then becomes, the coding for 6 becomes, we get 2 and 0. It's 2 and 0. Okay. What's the coding of 7? What's the coding of 7 on the 3-1 machine? What's the coding of 7 on the 3-1 machine? Now, if I add in a 7th dot, of course, now everything begins from the right-hand side. If I add in a 7th dot, nothing really happens because the rules are you have to get a set of 3 dots to create an explosion. So nothing happens. So then the coding for 7 becomes 1 there and, no, not 1 really, sorry, 2 there and 1. So it becomes 2, 1. I hope that's clear. So basically all these machines follow a basic rule for an explosion. So the 3-1 machine will need a set of 3, and each set of 3 dots create an explosion to the left-hand side of creating 1 dot in the next place value. So I think now that's clear about the machines. Now the 5-1 machine will work the same way all the way to the 10-1 machine that you use in all arithmetics. Now all arithmetics that you do in math, multiplication, addition, subtraction uses the 10-1 machine. Uses the 10-1 machine. So I hope we found this video helpful. And if you enjoy watching them and if you found them helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. To get more insight on new upcoming videos, subscribe to my channel, share with your friends who might also find it helpful in their studies. And thanks a lot for viewing. Thanks a lot. And see you in the next video. We'll be covering division using exploding dots. Division using exploding dots. And I'll also show you division using the bar stop method under the global maths curriculum. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. See you next time. Take care.